religion does provide a sense of tribalism and community. And when you lose that, you might gain a sense of universal brotherhood, but you may also end up alienated in communities. So how would you respond to this?
So hey guys, this is Ryan Khan, and I'm kind of notorious in the groups, but if you don't know me, I'm an ex-Muslim atheist, and today I'm going to be discussing kind of like a few social issues and topics regarding theism, atheism, and some other things related to social and kind of like political and arts issues as well. And with me, our host is Fatma Said, and she is also kind of like an aspiring prominent figure in the atheist movement. So, Fatma, how are you, first of all?
I'm great, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Likewise, yeah.
So without further ado, shall we jump in?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And by the way, you
Okay.
are right now we are playing Fatma Said as the interviewer, and I will be the interviewee. So she will be asking me questions, and I will be answering. Fatma, the stage is yours.
Okay, just to say that as an ex-Muslim atheist, I will be, for the sake of argument, playing the devil's advocate. And so we're going to start with the topic of mental health disorders and its prevalence in society today. So Ryan, there have been many studies that have been shown that there has been an astronomical rise in mental health disorders worldwide. Now, you could say there could be a connection between the prevalence of anxiety disorders, depression, and so on, and the loss of connection to the divine. That as a species, we've always had religion. We've always had a connection to spirituality from the very inception of our society, from tribes to now, to civilizations. Secularism has is kind of like a new kid on the block, and we haven't had very long to catch up on or evolve and adapt to how to deal with this existential crisis, how to deal with the inevitability of our death, how to deal with questions about the nature of our purpose here. This could lead to very many people getting depressed, feeling a sense of a kind of despair, loneliness, alienation as well. As you know, religion does provide a sense of tribalism and community. And when you lose that, you might gain a sense of universal brotherhood, but you may also end up alienated in communities.
Especially, yes, Fatma. So the first thing you
So
said,
how would you respond to this? Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, now according to some of these studies, the more smart a person gets, the less happy he or she becomes, and that's what we are seeing here today. Most of the scientists are making a lot of progress in science and technology, but at the same time, as much as they're learning that there probably is no God or is no divine entity, or there probably isn't anything such as supernatural existing in the real world, people do get this sense of feeling uselessness, and maybe that's kind of like a correlation that as smart you get, the more smarter you become, the less likely you are to be happy, and the more ignorant you are, the more likely you're flamboyant and carefree and kind of like happy in a sense. As for secularism, you said secularism is rather new, and I do agree with that. And secular humanity is one of the latest moral codes on which societies are to be built upon, and they already are, especially in the secular countries. And yes, it's new, but one of the good things about secularism is that it has a lot of room for improvement, and it's open to amendments. But if you compare it to religion, I would rather argue that religion, it's a bit more concrete, and you have no amendments and no room for improvements in religion. So
Bit
yes,
dogmatic,
it is
ideological.
dogmatic. Yes,
Yeah.
as for like the purpose in life, just like you said. The thing about me as an atheist, I would rather argue that purpose is something we give to life ourselves. But if
Mm.
for example, for theists, theists would argue that purpose of their life is to serve a god. But again, it's not their purpose. It's not probably God's purpose, because God has not been uh, demonstrated yet. So it's basically they're fulfilling the purpose of some other random person who just said something without any evidence. So it's pretty much kind of like based on fairy tales. So you're fulfilling someone else's purpose who didn't know much about the world to begin with, didn't know about reality, and did it
That's
probably for
interesting.
power.
Yeah.
But there's one more thing you said about like religion being important. To some extent, a few of the beliefs and faith has always been important for not only Homo sapiens, which we are, but other animals as well. If, for example, a bush is tumbling around and there's something happening behind the bush, it was always better for the animal, including human beings, ancient beings, to think that there must be something more powerful than them, and then to seek refuge in a cave, instead of those species, those animals who thought, oh, that's nothing, and then they used to like shrug it off, and it was actually a lion sitting behind and trying to make them prey. So yes, in that
Mm.
sense, religion or faith or making assumptions in the absence of absolute evidence has been necessary for the survival of many species, and most definitely including Homo sapiens. But right now in this world and age, we know better, we know more about how the world works, and we have other measuring tools to detect that what's actually behind the bush, even without being there ourselves. We can install cameras or IR, infrared cameras, or even X-ray cameras, which can actually see what's actually behind the bush, and there's no need to presume something which is greater than us.
Okay, so to summarize, you're saying that purpose is something you bring to yourself. It's your own. You put the meaning into life, and you become the
Yes.
author of your life. You're taking ownership of it. Or Jung kind of described it as individualization. You're scripting your own life. But this with religion, you are fulfilling, like you said, somebody else's purpose, and it's usually for power and control.